You guys feel free to send in your situations to me. Just DM me or whatever, and I'll send you the link to fill out, and you just send me back your situation, and then I'll do basically a whole whiteboard presentation on it. We do this every Wednesday, so like obviously topics are going to vary and stuff like that. I'm not going to break down someone's situation all the time. I'm going to make YouTube videos on these as well in a way more detailed fashion using my actual tools as well and kind of showing you the exact layout of everything. But for tonight, we're going to do the whiteboard. So one of you guys, I'm not going to name who, sent me in your situation. So let's walk through the situation. Let's walk through kind of what their goals are. And then I'll talk about kind of like what I would do. And I'll talk in detail, obviously, not just the bullet point version. Okay, so first things first. We have a 33-year-old living in Michigan. They are in operations at an advising firm. They're not actual financial advisors, but they work within the operations at the advisor firm. They are single, they have 0 kids, and they make $52,000 a year. So after $52,000, there's taxes, there's a 401k, and they take home pay, hits their bank account, $38.15. All right, so they're starting with $38.15 as a take home pay for their financial situation on a monthly basis. They have no kids, nothing else. Rent is $1,100. So rent as a percentage of take home pay, let's say roughly it's a little under a quarter or over a quarter. Sorry. I think rent's I think it's okay. It's hard to find rent much cheaper, to be honest. And I think as your income increases at 33, going up the ladder, I think you'll be fine there. It's a little heavier than, I don't know exact percentage that would be 1,100 divided by 38.15. I like to ideally get that under 25 perfectly. Like if it's under 25, you're good. If you have a mortgage though here, guys, this is a rent. So obviously they don't own the home, but like if you had, property taxes, you had the principal interest, property taxes, maybe there's PMI, maybe there's other things at play. We'd want to know all of those things at 25% less than 25% of your take home. Just a good rule of thumb to live by. You don't want to be house poor. I think that's a pretty good spot to be in. Utilities is 75. Food is 380. Collective insurance, I kind of summarized this for them, but insurances they gave me were 380. Personal expense, I didn't ask, but 120. Travel is 20, which seems very low. But again, this is all information I'm just gathering from you guys. I don't have, I'm not like auditing your information. I'm just working with what you guys give me. Car maintenance, 20, gym, 20, giving, 60. And then I took this, I put a little dash because this is where they put their expenses, but they also added Roth IRA, which is totally fine. But Roth IRA is an investment, so I want to take it out of this this grouping right here and put that down here. So in total, these expenses, not excluding the Roth IRA, would be $2,195. Okay, so based on their take home minus $2,195, we have roughly $1,600 left over, $1,620 exactly. However, there's a question I ask on this questionnaire that says, hey, how much money do you have left over at the end of the month? Because I want to kind of like, in a sense, see where they believe they're at versus the actual numbers they present me. Because they present these numbers, they should be exactly what I have here. But they said they only had $200 a month.
Okay, I found this on the web.
Siri, shut up.
Check it out.
All right, Siri wants to play some games with me, guys. Okay, so anyways, so $2,195. Here's what I did. I figured out their monthly expenses is $2,195. Definitely very low cost. Nothing crazy here. In fact, I think we should probably bulk this up a little bit from an expense standpoint, or at least like a. There's probably more stuff here. Like that's what my assessment was. But again, I'm taking what they give me. But and I'll talk about kind of some adjustments we would make to this kind of budget. This is a very simplistic budget. There is a very complex, it's not complex. There's just more layers to a good quality budget. Obviously, I just asked them for this information, but with a good budget, guys, you want to know your fixed income first off. Exactly, your take home pay or whatever it is through your W-2 job. You also want to know your variable income. So, income with the fixed income as well as variable income. And then from an expense standpoint, most people are thinking in terms of like these types of expenses, which are all fixed expenses. Obviously, food's a little variable, but like we have a pretty good grasp on food most likely if you do any bit of budgeting and kind of where you spend. But other than that, everything's fixed. So I'm assuming there's a lot more at stake that's probably variable expense, and that's where people lose. Is people list out this stuff and they're like, oh, well, I have so much money. Like, why can't I, do all these things I see people doing online? It's because most times is people aren't accounting for those things that pop up, like one-time expenses, or even in a lot of cases, just plain variable expenses, things you aren't really expect, but you don't know exact cost. Now with budgeting over time, you'll get to a pretty good estimate. Like we know exactly what our food's going to be every single month based on the things that we do. We have a very strict, stringent type of deal with our food. We know exactly when we do online grocery shopping, what it's going to be. We do it exactly once a week. So we could, let's just say our budget was $600. We know there's 4 weeks in a month. We would select $150 before we check out in our cart online. So we avoid that issue in store of like just shopping hungry or whatever, throwing extra stuff in the cart. And if you go online, guys, you can control your actual checkout price, obviously. And that's extremely powerful. So we are really, really accurate on food. Also, we've been doing this for a long time. So it's like anything, just practice, right? All right. So if I multiplied their monthly expenses times 3, it's about $6,500. If I multiplied it by 6 or doubled that by 2, it'd be about $13,170. Okay, so that's kind of where I want them from an emergency fund perspective. Now, their situation's interesting because expenses are low. They're single with no children. Their job was pretty stable, but at the same time, like you do want an emergency fund. And so if your emergency fund, unless you're like living at home in the situation with low expenses, I do aim for kind of a higher end emergency fund in this angle because like the reality is like, let's say an emergency happened, would 6,000 cover them? Probably, but you don't want to like bleed all that money out like that second. Like if you have an emergency, you'd want to take care of that and then still have some and feel comfortable. So I think if your expenses, if you multiply that by 3 and you have like a $3,000, like you have $1,000 in expenses, like be careful about that. Kind of aim for the higher end. Now, the higher you get, I think also there's an element of emergency fund. The more wealth you build, actually, the less that you need, to be honest. And we don't hold in a specific emergency fund ourselves, but at one point we absolutely did. And so I'm not telling anybody just to not do that. We just have different forms of liquidity to take care of that issue if it were to arise. Okay, so that's the budget component, guys. So of course, every financial situation, I need to know the balance sheet. I need to see where your current financial picture is. And so here's what I see here: cash of 50,000. So they broke this out in multiple different angles. So they have cash of 50,000. They have a checking of 2,000. They have emergency fund of 12,000, which is pretty in line with this 13 right here. They have a house fund of 32,000. So they're saving up for a house. They have sinking funds of 4K. And the total is obviously 50,000 of that. And the only other asset they own is between a 401k and an IRA of 30,000. So in total, their assets equal 80,000. They have zero liabilities, so zero debts of any kind, no house. Obviously, they're building up to get the house fund. No credit cards, no student loans, nothing, nada. No car loan or anything. So zero there. Their net worth is therefore 80,000. Pretty simple, right? Okay, their goals in this situation are to get a house of 200,000 at 20%, meaning they need $40,000 in cash. They want to do this as soon as possible, was what they told me. They also just have a goal of retiring at 65. I know that's crazy in today's world, but it's okay. If you like your job, you like what you do, retire at 65. Just have a plan to likely be financially free before that time, so you have the optionality before you hit 65 and life changes on you and health changes, whatever. Okay, so here's what I would do step by step. Very, very simplistic approach as far as that, but I'll kind of get into the details. So number one is I would say 4 or 5 months for the home. So we have 32,000 already. We need 40,000, meaning we need $8,000. I am going to then use the free cash flow amount right here, 1620. So take home pay minus expenses equals 1620. And I'm going to take 8,000, the amount that we need, divide that by 1620, and it comes out to be like roughly 4.97. So 5 months essentially, right? So for 5 months straight, what I would do is pause everything and just go attack it. Just get your down payment, have it ready. It's not going to change your life, assuming that you're very, very intentional and disciplined, obviously. There's a lot of assumptions in my what would I do, because I'm thinking about it from my perspective is if I was going to try to get the house, I would get it right away. So say 5 months for that. After the 5 months is up, let's reassess what we're doing from an investment perspective. So they're putting in there, I should have added this in there. They're doing $25 per paycheck. If you let's just say roughly times 2. So they're only doing like $50 for the 401k as of now. And then they're doing $150 in the Roth IRA itself. So how would I assess their retirement? We need to realign this entirely. And so the first thing I want to do is realize they have 1620 to work with. They're 33 years old. Let's assume an 8% return. I've done these calculations before. I'm just trying to remember off the top of my head earlier when I was doing this. So they have let's say 27 years until 60 years old. They're at 8%, and they have roughly, I assumed, I think, zero for this. Sorry, 30,000. I apologize. $30,000. They have 30,000 saved up. And what they're going to do is figure out what they need to do to get to the retirement goal of at 65 years old. So this is the bare minimum based on a 15% gross income rule. So if you do the 15%, it works out to be, I forget, 52 times 0.25, or sorry, 0.15. You can do it in your head. I think it's 7,800 maybe. And then divide that by 12, and it roughly comes out to be $650, actually evenly $650. So at a minimum, I would make sure I'm putting $650 into retirement-based accounts. So how would I actually go about doing that? My first step would be to increase the 401k up to the match, guarantee the 100% match. That is an obvious one. And then anything over and above, I would take to the Roth IRA. So I'm assuming we have 650 to work with. If you max out a Roth IRA in 2023, it's about 541 per month. 541.67 times 12 is 6,500. So that's where I'm getting 541. So the difference, 650 minus 541, or let's start with the 401k match. I don't know what that would be, obviously. They didn't tell me. But let's say that is $100, just theoretically, okay? I would take $100 there first, and then I would go the remaining to the of the 650. I'd take 650 minus 100. I'd have 550 to work with. I only need 541 theoretically. I'm just doing an example. And then the difference, 550 minus the 541 is $9. So I'd take the other $9, I'd put it back up in the 401k. Then I would accumulate the total of the 401k. And then let's say that came out, it's obviously $109 in this situation, and then 541 in the IRA. I would take $109 divided by my salary of $52,000, and that would be my percentage that I would want to dollar cost average the entirety of the year into my 401k. And then obviously for the Roth IRA, I would do 541 a month. Maybe you split that in biweekly payments to 250 every 2 weeks, whatever that may be for you. I personally do 250 every 2 weeks, guys. I just think that's the most strategic way to do a Roth IRA. So that's what I would do in this situation. Is number two is retirement. That would get them to $1.5 million, which would all but cover their future expenses that they have told me about, at least that I know about. However, you also are going to have other forms of income during the retirement, obviously, that we haven't discussed, and that would be part of it. Not to mention that we have other accounts I want to add to the picture, because I think 1.5 in retirement qualified accounts is great, a great start based in this situation. I would like to get a little higher ideally, but the other thought I have is to add a taxable brokerage into the account. There is no non-retirement account up here. So if they want to take money out before the age of 59 and a half, there are a few ways. There's 3 specific ways you can get money out of these qualified retirement accounts before the age of 59 and a half. However, they're not just like very liquid ways to do it. Roth conversion ladders, substantially equal periodic payments, 72T rule, as well as Rule 55. So there's ways to get money out, but to be honest, guys, the reality is the taxable brokerage is the way to go for numerous reasons and for tax reasons. There's actually benefits of owning all 3 taxable buckets. You got pre-tax, you got post-tax or Roth or whatever, and then you also got taxable. And all 3 of those buckets are really important to fill up. So I see this bucket filled up with with pre-tax with the 401k. I see the Roth bucket filled up with the IRA, and then I don't see any taxable in the equation right now, which is why I moved the $500 to taxable, because I think it's really important to add to the situation and build liquidity first off, so you have that liquidity up front if you need it. The intention is not to pull it. The intention is obviously to invest it, but you do have some flexibility there. And I think adding a taxable brokerage of let's say $500 would be a phenomenal add here. And then the fourth option is there's no financial plan. And I know that for a fact because this right here. So I said, what? So there's no financial plan in the picture, obviously. And so what would I do in this situation, to be honest? This is a very simplistic model, obviously, that you see on the screen or on the whiteboard. So first things first is I would add the budget, a true budget, like we kind of talked about the details earlier. I'd add a true budget. I would add a true balance sheet. I would have this systematically set up to where everything going in and out of these different locations are automated and defined exactly what they're trying to accomplish. So they need to start with their goal, the end in mind. So they need to understand their goals, which obviously is what I got them to is house, the first two goals at least, of 200,000 and also retire at 65. I took care of those two goals, but let's think a little deeper. Like, what other goals that you really having besides the two that were presented to me? And let's make sure all of this is automated. All of our investments are automated right here, right here. We have zero, like we're not spending time on a monthly basis. We're not doing this every single month and writing this stuff out. We have a systematic approach in an Excel spreadsheet, in an app, whatever way you want to do it, that we know things are going to happen. We know exactly what's going to come out, and we just are waiting for it to actually happen. All we are doing, guys, on a monthly basis is managing our cash flow. So we're making sure that we abide by this, and there's nothing else added that shouldn't be added or that should be included there. And if we don't do this, this is where people go wrong. They don't have the right tools. There's no debt in the equation, or I would add amortization schedules to the mix to actually map out your debt payoff plan precisely to the actual penny and the actual date. Obviously, their situation has zero liabilities, but if there were to be some debt, I would add that as part of the picture. Secondly is an investment plan. There is no investment plan, obviously, because there's only $25 going to the 401k, or start, let's say $50 a month, and there's only $150, and there's unused money of $16.20. This tells me right away that this money is getting wasted. And this is the reality of most people's situations is there's inefficient funds being used. And when you actually break stuff down, you actually get to that number, the 1620, and all of a sudden you can start to allocate that towards your goals. Can you imagine if you added the 1620 truly to the picture and you let that ride for years to come? And obviously, that's just this example. There could be way more money out there. I have people in my academy, and you guys probably can talk about in the comments. I'll turn around in a second. Is people are finding roughly $10,000 on average, all the way up to $60,000 on average. My average student finds an extra. Hear me out. An extra in their own situation. I'm not increasing their income for them. They're finding an extra $19,000 per year. Could you imagine if you took $19,000 per year? You divide that by 12, and guess what? The number comes out really, really close to the 1620 number. It's like 1667 times 12 is like 19, whatever the average student gets about. That's my average student, guys. And it's because they have the systematic approach I'm talking about where they actually see these things on papers, they're actually documenting, they're actually recording, and they're seeing this all flow through. Now, all these documents need to cohesively work together. That is step one, just having the documents to go together. That's step one. You got to track your money first, right? Step two is our investment planning. So obviously we need to plan our end goal of what we're trying to accomplish. So we need to understand our taxable, our pre-tax money, our Roth money, and our taxable money that we added to the equation. What is the end goal of each one specifically? What is what's the risk profile in each one specifically? What are the investment allocations for each different account that you have? That's really, really important. That's a piece of the investment plan, or that's a piece of the financial plan. There's so many more components. We're talking insurances, tax strategy, credit, tax planning, tax preparation, estate planning, trust and wills. All of these things should be in their situation, which obviously this is a whiteboard example. But again, when I say financial plan ad, guys, we need to walk collectively from start to finish. Basically a health check, you can kind of think about it like a completeness and accuracy check of your finances, walking through and saying, take this out, this is your bottleneck, or implement this, you don't have this, and this is going to really help you. One of the two things should be added to the equation. Okay, so financial plan ads, that's obviously a very simple bullet point, but there's a lot that goes into that. This is the stuff that goes into Budget Dog Academy in very, very great detail, provides resources, provides all that stuff. You need a financial plan and you need detail, or you won't get out of debt. You won't get to the goals that you want to reach, and you'll be inefficient with your money, which is the worst thing about it. So unless you have that, you're going to be inefficient, and we need to add that to the picture. So fifth is we have some money to work with. Okay. So based on the goal of this 1620, we used 650 in step two for retirement. We used 500 for taxable. And now at the bottom, we have $470 left over. So I want to allocate those dollars somewhere because, like I said, if you're just letting this money sit here, guys, it's going to go to cash and it's going to sit in a bank account, in a checking account, earning 0.000000000030000%. We don't want that to happen. We want to put it somewhere. And I'm not talking about a high yield savings account. That's stupid. Put a high yield savings account for your emergency fund, whatever. Leave it to be. But high yields, that's not an investment. That is a savings account, hence the name. So people treat it as a saving or as an investment. It's not. It's going to get you a little bit more than 0.00000000300, but it's not going to be an investment. Okay, so then you want to get to the 470, and you want to allocate this. So where do you want to allocate it? I'm going to give them the option, but here are some ideas. So I think the slush fund is something people don't account for in a budget. A typical budget, I think, should always include a slush fund, a miscellaneous fund. Those two categories are often missed in budgets because the miscellaneous fund are those little tiny things like Windex or candles or like I got to go to the store and get it like batteries and like random little one-off things that don't happen often. They are truly miscellaneous. But you know they're going to be there. You got to plan for them. You just don't know when they're going to pop up or how much it is. Typically, I would for miscellaneous, I like $250 to $500 for most people. I think that would take care of most people's miscellaneous stuff. Everyone's situation is different, of course. Sometimes, if you're wealthier, you make a lot more money or something like that, your living expenses are higher. Therefore, your miscellaneous might be a little higher. But I say generally $250 to $500 is probably fine. The reason it's so low is because you want to make sure you categorize most things. You don't just want to throw. What happens often, guys, with miscellaneous is it gets thrown in a black hole. You just have you have this great little budget right here, and then you add miscellaneous down here, and it says like 4,000, and you're like, hold up, I only have 1,620 to work with, but I have 4,000 down here in miscellaneous. Like, what's going on there? You got to be very careful with that when you put miscellaneous on the budget because it often becomes just like this push, everyone pushes to it. The other thing we want to add is potentially is a slush fund. So the way my wife and I do this is we do have all of our categories, right? We walk through all these categories. We obviously separate our investments from our expenses. And with our expenses, we say, okay, based on our expenses, let's give ourselves a slush fund of $250. Therefore, if I go over in personal, I'm feeling good. I'm getting my massage one day and I hit $80 or whatever. I go get a haircut. I'm feeling real fresh and, I hit 130 and I'm like, you know what? I want to go do something else. And it ends up being like $200. I don't want to feel guilty about that. And you shouldn't feel guilty about that because you should align your budget with your value system. And you should try to stick to these as best as possible. It's not like it's just like a free-for-all by any means, but you're going to go over from time to time. You're going to go under from time to time. You're never going to be exact. Therefore, a slush fund kind of makes up for that difference. If there's any overage, you could call it overage or whatever. I don't care what you call it. I call it slush fund because it gives you the extra wiggle room in case something goes over. You don't have to feel guilty. You don't have to beat yourself up and punch yourself and look at yourself in the mirror and say, I'm a failure. Don't feel like that. The other thing is you could give. Like you could just straight up give. Like we try to do this on a monthly basis. I just shipped out a gift to one of my students in Budget Dog Academy. Shout out to Stacy. So, she's got something on her way. Every single month I give back in some sort of way. I'm working with my team right now to potentially pay off someone's mortgage payment this month. So there's a lot of things I try to do and give back every single month. That's just something I feel pretty passionate about. I don't have like a specific like tithing. They have giving here, guys, of $60. I don't set a set giving number. I know I just do it out of the goodness of my heart as I feel necessary. So there's no like specific because I'm like, I'm going to give 10% of my like tithing, the principle of tithing. I just think as I kind of feel suited to give money or give something to somebody, I'm just going to go do that. I just trust myself that I have the good judgment to do that. So that's how I feel. You could also invest this money, guys. So 470 is a good chunk of change, especially when you're putting 500 in brokerage. I mean, this is an extra 470. It's almost double that. So you could invest that money. And again, you could also just spend that money. I know that's shocking. I know people think budgeting is like restrictive and like really scary and like you wouldn't do that kind of stuff, but like you can spend money, believe it or not. So you could just put like, No, Siri.
Sorry, there was a problem with the app.
Siri's bashing my budgeting tech. What? Siri, be quiet. All right. So Siri obviously doesn't like me to spend money, as we can tell. But anyways, so we could put spend 470 and literally just go recklessly spend money. Like you can do that as long as you have your goals aligned. You've hit your goals. I don't care what you do with your money, and I don't think anybody else does either. So as long as you're responsible to a certain amount and you're cool with your goals and you're like, hey, I don't really care to speed this process up. I want to retire at 65. I don't want to retire at like 30. Like just go have fun. Like go on a vacation. Take your wife out to a nice dinner. Like whatever that may be, like go do it. And feel guilt. There's no guilt involved with that. I think that's very, very important to note in this situation, guys, is that like people are always thinking budgeting means restricting. All this is a spending plan. I'm just telling my money where it goes. That could be investments. That could be my actual expenses themselves. That could be giving. That could be taking my daughter somewhere and the aquarium, whatever it may be, and the zoo, right? So like I could do all sorts of things with that, but you need to build this stuff into your budget, which is why I wanted to give you the options and make that point number 5, because most people think budgeting is just the fixed expenses. I got to save more money. How do I cut? Blah, 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 blah. How do I eat beans and rice? Shout out Dave Ramsey. No, that's an awful way to budget. You need to have a value system and spend where you value. Obviously within some discipline, like we're not just saying like free for all. There needs to be some discipline. Depending on your goals, depending on your timelines, it's all calculation. You can calculate every one of these goals. That's the cool thing about this. When you have this all on paper, you literally can do from start to finish. You can map out when you're going to be debt free. You can map out when you're going to be financially free, when you're going to hit millionaire status, when you're going to retire. Like every single goal, you can precisely map out. There's no more guessing. And I met with somebody today, a couple, and they came to me, and I'm not going to. I guess I can share the numbers. I'm not going to share the name. They make $150,000. Okay, they have $87,000 in debt. And I asked them, when do you guys think you're going to pay it off? They told me, what was it? Forever? There was no timeline. It was just, I'm going to pay for debt forever. We're just going to live with this forever. We're expecting that. That is the worst mindset, respectfully, to have when it comes to money, guys. All I had to do, roughly speaking, on the phone, and this wasn't even hard work, right? I did 150 times 3, which would be 3 years of employable wages. That works out to be $450. The debt that they had was $87,000 divided by 450. That is less than a 20% savings rate. If they put 100% of that savings rate into that debt, they would be paid off in 3 years. It's just rough math, right? And so I told them, I think you could be out of debt easily within 3 years if you really apply and knock this out of the park. And they were amazed by that answer, almost as if they're like skeptical about that answer. But that's the reality, is if you have a good numbering system, you have a good financial system, guys, you're going to know these answers. There's not going to be questions. You're not going to feel guilty about your money. You're not going to feel guilty about spending. Guys, we have spent so much money on the move down to this house. We feel no guilt about it. We saved for it. We prepared for it. We knew what was coming, and we're spending because we're enjoying the way we live, and we're giving Logan her best life. So, and trust me, she's getting her best life, to say the least. She likes to cry a lot and tell us we're not great parents. But I know for a fact she's got everything she needs. So, all right, I'm gonna flip this around, guys, and answer some questions. So I hope that was pretty helpful. All right, let's see. So I'm gonna answer anything that you guys put this on my stand. Okay. I'm going to have to hold this mic up so you guys can actually hear me, but let's see. Okay, so I'm going to go to the top, guys. Sam, I appreciate you, man. I really appreciate you. Luxury Ebony, anybody that wants me to do this for them, just send me a DM. I'll send you the link to fill out for me, and then I'll break this down for you on a I'm going to do YouTube videos, guys, of this. Like I'm going to do it on my computer versus the whiteboard as well, so it's more detailed. I have the actual spreadsheets in front of me. I'll show you the exact numbers, how we do this. But I'm going to go all the way to the top. I know there's a lot of followers that jumped in here, guys. I appreciate everybody's support. I'm going to get through every question, I promise you. Let's see. Okay, let's see. A lab mic. I don't know if that's the name, but We'll roll with it. I'm trying to. It seems like there's a lot of people that came in, guys. So I'm trying to scroll. It shows me every person that came in here, but I'm trying to get to the actual questions. Um, yeah. So again, somebody asked like less than 6K for taxes for a year for 52,000 job. Guys, I'm not auditing these people. I am simply just taking what they give me and trying to do my best with it. Okay. If I was working with this individual one on one, I'd call that to question because that was obviously my first question when I saw it. That's just what I've been told. Um, and so there's like I think there's other things, guys, like like that budget doesn't seem like it's a full comprehensive budget to me. I've worked with enough people to know it's not. Why do I like watching these so much? The way you break it down is like magic. Stacy, we'll break it down way more in the academy in your situation in particular, but you're crushing. Yeah, Stacy, she absolutely crushes. I'm going to leave it at that. She does very, very well for herself, and she's a student I'm very proud of, to say the least. Jorge, I appreciate the badge, guys. Guys, do not feel like you had to buy me a badge. Seriously, I'm not doing this to collect tips by any means. I'm doing this to just help you guys. All right, let's see. Scrolling down. Lots of people in here, guys. I appreciate everybody's support again. Love this. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. Talk to him. I was probably saying something facetious a second ago. Yes, I can imagine. Emergencies happen. My husband was out of work for a year due to bilateral broken legs due to an accident. Yes. Guys, emergencies are always going to happen. They're when you don't expect them, hence the name emergency. So always have an emergency fund in place, or at least liquidity, like I talk about often, in place. Do not risk your financial future to save a few dollars. Have a quality emergency fund of liquidity ready to go, and put it to the side and do not touch it. And if it does get touched, it's okay because you're using it for an emergency, hopefully, but don't use it as a crutch to dip into because you aren't budgeting appropriately. I've been working with a lot of individuals lately. They're making, they have a way too much cash on hand. Let's say $100,000 in cash on hand. There's really no need for that cash, but they use it as a safety crutch because they go over and budget every year, and then they decrease their cash balance. There was an example. They started with 100. They got down to 70,000 within a couple months because they kept dipping into it for non-emergency purposes. And I said, where do you think that's headed? If it went from 100,000 to 70,000, do you think it's going to stop? No, it's going to continue unless you stop you got to implement the budget to the equation. You'll be fine after that, but you got to stop that. So, super important, guys, to have all that kind of stuff down pat, like the fundamentals, basics 101. Like we got to make sure that stuff's taken care of. What about 401k? 401k was up here. So yeah, 401k was part of that piece of $50 in the 401k is what they included up here, which I would adjust, obviously, as I talked about. Why you got to have a whiteboard? I got to study. I'm just trying to bring some details to it, guys. Luxury Ebony, just DM me. Very helpful. Whiteboard Wednesday is the show I don't like to miss. Appreciate you, Stacy. Yeah, guys, for sure. My main goal, guys, for these Whiteboard Wednesdays is really trying to deep dive into people's situations or deep dive into specific topics that I can't talk about like on a tweet or something like that. It's really tough, like for me to break down financial concepts. I do it with threads. Like I do it with a lot of threads, as you can see on my page and stuff like that. But like with a video, you have like 60 seconds or like a minute or so to like get a whole topic across. So you can't deep dive into it. So you got to make it simplistic. You got to make it very simple and to the point, which is what I try to do the best to my ability. But that's what these IG lives are for. Obviously, it depends a lot of times in these IG lives because I can't say, with definitive like answers, like with you guys asking me questions because I don't know everyone's situation. So that's also what the academy is for. So I can give you not the it depends answer, but actually the answer that helps you get to the next level. So can you do one for me? Yeah, guys, again, just DM me, send me your, just say, hey, I want to do a Whiteboard Wednesday, or say I want to do, just say I want to do a, what would I do for you? Or what would I do? And I will send you the sheet to fill out. You can send it to me. Obviously, I have a lot sent in to me, so I can't just do everybody's, but I'll do as many as I can. I have like I don't know, like 500 literally sitting there. So just send it to me. I will do my best of my ability, but obviously there's a lot of demand, so I can't just like do everybody's if that's fair. I've got about $2,700 left in my car payment. I'm excited to finally get rid of it, but then again, my car is getting old and high miles. Okay, sugar lump. So I love where you're at. $2,700 left. Pay it off, and when you're paying it off, here's the goal, guys. The average person I think is every 6 years they get a new car. So they usually have an average. I think the average length of a loan is like 5 years, 5.69 years or whatever collectively. So most people are going to have a loan their entire life because they just averaged 5.69 years. At the end of the 6 year period, they're without a loan for just a short amount of time, and then they get back into a new loan. Get yourself in a sturdy position where, like, guys, I drive a Hyundai Sonata 2011 that's been paid off. We paid it cash back in 2017 or 2016, or I don't know when it was. We paid in cash, and I haven't had a car payment since. We have one car since we moved to Texas. My wife doesn't work, and so it's very easy with our situation to have one car at the moment, at least. And so we don't have a car payment. We never have, and we've hit the millionaire status, but we don't care because we don't want to have a car payment. It does not make sense. So even though that we could go buy a car theoretically, it just does not make sense to us to have a car payment all the time. For my HSA, do I need to keep every out of explanation of benefit to eventually reimburse myself, or will receipts suffice? Receipts will suffice for that, man. Yeah, receipts are fine. What I do, guys, I actually worked with a student today about the HSA. I do two things. So I save all my receipts in a HSA folder. So literally in my Gmail, I have an HSA folder sitting there ready to go. Everything goes there. And then I also have an Excel tracker separately that has the date of the service, whatever that service was, the name, which is Logan, typically, the amount, and it says like receipt, yes or no, and I put yes, check the box type deal. So I make sure all of that detail is in an Excel spreadsheet. It's listed out by year. It's summarized. It's a summarized total for back to 2016, whenever we started doing this stuff. We will max out the HSA every single year. So the HSA is maxed out at $7,750 every single year. We will pay out of pocket for all medical expenses up to usually the out-of-pocket max, which is about $6,000. And we will save 100% of those receipts. So all of my HSA balance I can pull basically at any point in time, tax-free entirely, which is a huge, huge, huge benefit. HSA, if you can afford it, guys, it's in your budget. You can fit it. Please, get that. Am I still in crypto, specifically Ethereum, and what is your long-term view on it? Yeah, so I actually did a crypto presentation last night, guys, in my academy. So we broke down all things crypto. What's up, Joe? What's up, Chris? And Melissa, or what's up, Chris? Yeah, guys, we did like a whole crypto breakdown in the academy last night. I'm definitely investing the same as I always have been in crypto. I talk about how I position it. It's an asymmetric risk reward bet type thing I'm taking on. I do Bitcoin and Ethereum, pretty simplistic approach. I have a crypto beginner's guide if you guys need that to get started. I love crypto, but you have to be careful with the way you invest in it. Like, it is a very small percentage of my overall net worth. So I'm at roughly 1% to 2% at max of my whole net worth is in crypto. And so I don't anticipate really getting much higher than that. I do like it for, again, the asymmetric risk reward I have in there. But like, again, if it went to zero, it wouldn't really impact me. I'm very bullish in crypto in the future. But hey, I could be wrong, but that's why I position myself as such. Same thing with my Meta. When I bought Meta at 97, everyone's like, you're an idiot, you're an idiot, you're an idiot. And look what Meta has done since $97. So these are very small bets that I'm very bullish on with, let's say less than 5% of my whole entire picture, because I've been able to do the fundamentals. I've been able to hit the millionaire net worth. So I'm able to take the extra added risk to our situation. And if I lose it, I lose it. Not that I want to lose it, but they're very calculated bets per se. Like today, I got a call from a private equity investor. I'm going to put more money in a private equity deal that we have. And that's a asymmetric risk reward bet, in my opinion. It could fail, it could not. So I think it's really smart I saw this Alex Hormozi video today, and I think it hits it so perfect what I'm trying to accomplish here. So like when we paid off our house, we had zero debt, right? We were able to take huge swings on my business because we had zero risk. At home, we had, let's say, $2,500 to $3,000 per month in expenses. We made plenty of money from our 9 to 5s to take care of that need, okay? So we had no other expenses. So I could take, theoretically, all of my money from my business and reinvest in my business, which I did early on a lot. And I swung it out of the park. And obviously, I was able to quit my 9 to 5 and let my wife quit her job, her 9 to 5 as well. And so we took a big risk with the business, but it made a lot of sense at the same time because we minimized our risk at home and then we could swing big on smaller things. And that's the benefit of taking those big risks. Obviously, there's a chance that like, hey, that private equity deal falls through, that crypto falls through, is a total, disaster. That could happen. That could absolutely happen. But you have to take risks to win, but you got to take calculated risks, not just stupid risks. Don't just quit your 9 to 5 and say, oh, YOLO, I'm going to go run my own business. Don't do that. Take calculated risks that make a lot of sense, that you see a huge upside for if things come through, and get your finances right, because that's step one of the whole entire game. If our finances were not good and my daughter was on the way, I would not have quit my 9 to 5. I can promise you that with a fact. I would never have quit my 9 to 5. I'm very conservative. I take very calculated risk, and there's not a chance that I would just say, oh, I'm going to leave my 9 to 5 with the daughter on the way. Wasn't going to happen. But my wife and I were able to, from 23 to about 30, put ourselves in a very, very, very good situation. And from that, we were able to take a huge swing. And that huge swing has changed our life entirely. It's changed my daughter's life entirely. So at the time, obviously, we didn't know Logan was going to have, the medical issues that she has. But because she does have that, and because we've set ourselves up, we were able to move to Texas. I've been here for 1 month, guys, 1 month. We moved across the country for Logan. My wife quit her job. I quit my 9 to 5. And if we weren't here, if we weren't in Texas right now, my daughter would not have the best of the best treatment in the world. The top specialist in the world, essentially, of one of 3 that are in this situation, and a comprehensive care center is coming here because of the financial decisions that we made early on. And we said, we know that life's going to happen. We wanted to get, financial freedom. Obviously, that was kind of the goal from the beginning, but we didn't know what life was going to throw at us. But because we were prepared, we were able to take a huge, huge bet on ourselves, and things turned out obviously favorable. And so it's a big thing, guys. I mean, I can't tell you how important this stuff is. It's not even about the money. Like, we don't give a damn about the money. Like, I don't care, honestly, what I make. I don't really care like what car I drive, what house I'm in. I'm pretty basic. I mean, I have a 2011 Hyundai Sonata. Some people would call me cheap, but I'm just like, I don't need it. I don't care. But because of that situation, we have optionality, and it's such a powerful thing that you can change your whole entire family's life if you start with the financial obligation that's in front of you. So people that just block this stuff out and think, oh, I can do it later, that's not the case. It's really not. I mean, you can think it is, but time is the biggest wealth building factor. And if you're not investing right this second or paying off debt this second, and there's money that's inefficiently being used, you could do that your entirety of your life. And how bad would that feel at 80 years old, at 90 years old, to look back and say, I couldn't take the vacations. I couldn't move across the country for my daughter's health. I couldn't, take my kid to dance class. Like, that is such a powerful thing that you can't do because of money. Like, those things are so personal, but like, people just like kind of blame like the system or blame others or blame the government. And they never take initiative for fixing their own finances, which there's no other person you're going to have to blame besides yourself. As harsh as that may sound, as unfair as that may sound for a lot of people, and I understand the inequities across the United States, I'm not blind to that, but it's not going to happen unless you fix that situation. So I don't care if you were dealt 7-2 offsuit and somebody else was dealt double aces. It does not matter. You have to figure a way to bluff that double ace and win that hand. Because if you don't, you're going to lose. And you're going to continue to lose until things change in your family tree. That's just the reality of it. I didn't come from money. So I didn't come from a bad area by any means. I was, raised with great parents. I had plenty of opportunity. Don't get me wrong with that. But my parents did not feed me money. I did not leave the house with $1. Like, my parents paid for my high school, my education. And after that, they were pretty much like, peace out. Like, it's all on you. They never taught me one thing about money. I taught everything myself to myself. So it's on you to make that decision. And surrounding yourself with the right people is very, very important. Um, you should do a Twitter space. I absolutely love this. I appreciate you, Yashi. Sam, I do Twitter spaces all the time, and I'll hop in one with you. If my Roth IRA is grouped into 3 different index funds, would it make sense to do the same for a taxable brokerage? I like the funds, but just thinking if I'm duplicating. So yeah, guys, when you guys have like duplicate, like you got to think index funds are pretty simplistic as far as like it covers a broad range of stuff. If you have like a total market fund, it's pretty hard not to have it in both accounts. Now you got to think with the end in mind for every single account. I have a really good YouTube video on this, how to select your allocations based on risk, based on a lot of things. Your end in sight is like your account, your goals that you have. Every single account should have their own allocations in line with that and your risk profile and your timeline. If you don't have that, then you're gonna like it doesn't matter necessarily the actual funds that you have, but you still need it. I love it. Debbie says, Budget Dog Academy member here. The Academy is a Whiteboard Wednesday on steroids. Yes, love you, Brennan. Changing my life. Appreciate you. Love you too. You go, Stacy. Yeah, Stacy, Debbie. All my people in here are killers. And you can tell, guys. I can tell on these calls. I take most of my Academy calls at this point in time. I can tell the second somebody gets on that phone, are they going to change their life? Are they serious? Or are they not? Are they there to flirt with me? Are they there to, pick my brain? I can tell in about 3 seconds, just your demeanor, are you ready to work? And the people I accept in the academy are those types of people. I interview people for the academy. But I don't have to even ask questions. I can tell within seconds, is this person for real or not? And those people get in, they do really well because they choose to do well, not because of me. I just show them the roadmap. I just help them and guide them. They choose to win. Would it ever make sense for me to cash out my HSA to buy an asset? I probably won't, but I have a lot of money in there. I probably want it. I'd keep it in HSA if you could, man. I think the best thing about following you is not only am I better prepared, I got my sister to open a Roth IRA as well. Let's go, Chris. That's amazing, man. I'm really excited to hear that. I love that stuff, man. Anytime I hear that, guys, I have so much free content out there. You guys could go do your entire financial plan without me. Don't pay me a dime. Do not pay me a dime. Go out there and piece together all my free content. I can guarantee you can figure it out. And so when I hear stuff like that, somebody opened a Roth IRA, somebody wasn't investing in a Roth IRA, was in cash before, that's awesome. Do I have any thoughts on Robinhood IRAs? I'm not too passionate about it one way or the other. I know it's like 1%. I'm at way less than 1%. Most of that stuff is iffy. What about Tezos? Yeah, dude, I am totally fine with that. Honestly, guys, I don't think you have to take a huge calculated risk on your investments per se. I think you need to take a calculated risk on yourself. So if you aren't you don't want to put money in an individual stock or crypto or the metaverse or AI or whatever, trendy things popping up at the time. Don't do that. Don't do that, but take a risk on yourself. Spend the money, reinvest in yourself. If you have let's say an extra 2% or 3% of your net worth and you're I'm going to take that money, I'm going to go build a skill set. I'm going to go invest in a real estate mentorship. I don't know, some mentorship of some sort. And you take that skill set and you flip it to 6 figures in income. I would say that investment that you made is probably pretty smart, right? So take a chance on yourself, invest in yourself, build skill sets, learn how to make income. There's so much opportunity in today's world. Guys, seriously, you're talking to somebody that was a very traditional CPA minded Deloitte. I'm ex-Deloitte. I was doing corporate audits. I was not in the mindset of entrepreneurship per se. And I did this thing I started Budget Dog in June 2019 and I figured this game out inside and out. The technicals, the marketing, the everything, right? When I met with somebody recently, I shared my entire blueprint. I did not hide one thing. I did not ask for one dime. I just said, I'm just going to help you out. Why not? Because I don't care. If you want to take it, go ahead and take it, right? This is the amount of value that he put out. He texted me this after. He said, You can do this stuff for literally $10,000 to $15,000 per client. This information I provided to this guy was in hours of work, in hours of a conversation, right? I gave him the blueprint to my entire business in about 60 minutes. Didn't charge a dime. But because I put the work in for the last 3 years, I could probably charge this realistically. I could easily make a case for that, right? Like if I could grow you to 6 figures, 7 figures, a business, like I can easily charge $10,000 to $15,000 in expense. Like I wouldn't even feel guilty about that. I'd say take it. You know what I mean? Like, but if you can learn a skill set and deep dive into that skill set, reinvest. Guys, I invest in so many mentorships. I worked with so many individuals one-on-one to learn this game. I still, to this day, I pay my coach every single month. Guess how much? A lot of money. Like 6 figures in money throughout the year. I pay him into the 6 figures to help guide me. There's always got to be an expert out there helping you, mentoring you. It doesn't matter if you're the smartest person in the room. I'm not saying go into the other room by any means. I'm not pushing that narrative. What I'm saying is there's always a second set of eyes that will make you think about things differently. And once you think about things differently, you can see it differently and you can make better decisions. Always pay for experts. Always work with mentors. I do it to this day. I spend a lot of money on it. I continue to elevate the cost that I pay. And in fact, I brought on more people today to do the exact same thing. And I'm paying them well into a pretty penny. And I don't care because I know the value they're going to bring is above what I pay them. Just like the value I bring my Academy members. You can pay me X amount of dollars. That's irrelevant if the value is way up here. Just like the guy I was telling, my whole blueprint. It's like, dude, you could charge $15,000 per client. Like, I just gave you free 60 minutes a game. Like, cause you got to study the game. Whatever skill set it is, take that extra money, invest in yourself so many times where it could be $100 to start. It doesn't need to be much. It could be $100. It could be $200. And then as you scale up, then it becomes $1,000. And then as you scale up, it becomes $6,000. When I first started, guys, my first investment ever in myself was a 401k, and it was, I don't know, like $100. That was my first investment in myself. It started small, but I kept reinvesting in the business. Every time I made profit, I went to find an expert. How can I get to exactly where that individual is? That person has a 7-figure business. That person has a 9-figure business. How can I do exactly what that individual does? I want to get to know you, and I'm going to pay you money because I want to learn all of the trades and the secrets and all that you have. And I'm going to apply that. So I'm not just going to pay that individual and assume that, hey, I paid money, so therefore I have the answer. I'm good to go. I got to apply that. I got to take that information, the education, the resources, the tools, and I have to apply that to my situation. And when I do that, I'm going to be so successful because I'm going to get into the details so much. Whenever I pay somebody, I don't expect the answer to be there. I know they'll guide me. I work with a few entrepreneurs that are 9-figure entrepreneurs, 8-figure entrepreneurs, 7-figure entrepreneurs, and I work with these individuals. I pay them a lot of money, and as long as I know I'll put the work in, which I know I will, I don't have to just, I don't debate myself on that. I know I'll put the work in. I know I'll figure out with their resources, tools, and guidance, I will get to that 7 figures. I will get to the 8 figures or 9 figures. I know I will because I'm putting the work in. I'm not just paying somebody and just saying, oh, give me the magic pill. I'm saying I'm going to pay you just to get access to you, because access, as you get more, you build a skill set, you can charge, you yourself can go charge other people for the skill that you built. It doesn't matter how simplified you made that skill. For the next person that learns, that's what you're getting paid for. You spent years. I spent 8 years to build millionaire net worth, right? Plus. And then I simplified that so much, but I put so much work in for 8 years to now be able to sell it for a high ticket price. But it's so much easier for the next person, and they will fast forward, and the value they get is, if I charged them $200, they would get $200,000 in return. Because I've mastered the skill set, I packaged it in a way that it's so simple to follow that you don't need any bit of background of finance, just so much. Same thing with my buddy. He's a 9-figure Amazon seller. I have worked with him so much to get to the point of where he's at. Obviously different business models, but we still have the same ideas, right? I'll pay him a lot of money, and I'm going to have a huge ROI on that money because I figure out who's trustworthy, who's reputable, who actually has real practical results. I tell my academy members all the time, when I bring on an expert into the academy and I have them guest speak on a specific topic, we had somebody with vending machines recently. We had Amazon FBA. We had all these people. I don't just go find somebody that posts big numbers online. I don't care about that. I care about practical experts that have actually put in the work. They actually know the skill inside and out, and they can teach on a very, very simplified level. If you get to that point and you invest in yourself and you can do that, you can build your own business at 6, 7, 8 figures. I can promise you that because I can show you exactly how to do it. And that guy obviously told you what the value I provided him on that call. Some people have to work harder, but we all can work out our situations. 100%. Guys, everybody starts at a different spot. There's no secret about that. Some people start here, some people start here, some people start here. It's not about where you start, it's about where you end. Am I buying the dip? I'm buying every single day, guys. I share all my buys on my academy. But yeah, I bought a ton of stuff on Monday. I don't even know it was a dip today, honestly. I didn't check. But I have all my investments are set up, automated, and just kind of operating as is. What would you recommend for people in their 50s and 60s to invest in? Totally depends on the situation. My mom keeps thinking it's too late to invest more. It's never too late, Kelsey. Just DM me out. We can talk about it. I love your content. I know I'll be coming to you for help sooner or later. Yeah, guys, just reach out to me. I mean, this is the reality, guys. Like, I'm very confident in my ability to change your life overnight. Like, I'm very confident. I've done this with too many people for too long of a time. My skill set is finance. My skill set is personal finance specifically. And I will take you from a 0 to a million. Like, it's not overnight. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to sell that story by any means. But I am very confident I will wipe your debt clean. I will build extreme wealth for you. It's a long-term game. It's not overnight. It's going to take some time. But decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, I am very, very confident I will fix your situation. Who is my mentor or coach? Nobody of a public figure that you guys would know by any means, but very, very behind the scenes people that are experts in what they do. Last question. I'm moving to a new firm. Once I finish the exams, can I pay to be my mentor? Absolutely, man. I mean, you don't have to pay me, guys. You really don't have to pay me to be your mentor. Build a relationship with me. Just talk with me, and I will be very, very grateful to just work with you and give you some game. Like, I don't need anybody's money. Like I said, guys, like this guy, the guy I was talking to, he's just like, I've never met him. He's kind of a high profile dude. And one of my friends connected us and he's like, hey, he wants to reach out to you. I just gave him some game. And I was like, and he was like, dude, that's like a lot of money. Like, or it's worth a lot of money. I'm like, yeah, like, but I don't expect anything. Just when I started doubting myself, yes, Stacy, you know you got this. You know you got that. All right, let's see what else we got, guys. And then I'm going to answer a few more questions, and then I'm going to hop off here. If you haven't gotten Brennan's investing book, go read it. I appreciate that, Nancy. Yeah, guys, the investing book's like $30 or something like that. That's gonna put you in a good spot itself. But I don't even know if I have that individually anymore. You'd have to ask, DM me or whatever. Age 55. I don't know what that means. Okay, guys. Options trading, any good? Options trading has low odds, and it's basically a bet one way or the other. Sure, there's a lot of technical data you can look at. There's a lot of stuff you can look at. Not my game, and I stay away from it. So anyways, guys, I appreciate all the love. Again, if you guys need any help by any means, please reach out to me. Do not be shy. DM me. Send me a DM. We will help you. My team and I will help you guys get from 0 to whatever you're trying to accomplish. I can promise you that. Just reach out. Don't be shy. Have a good night, guys.